everybody. Welcome. If you don't know me, my name is Charlene Madrid. I'm on the design team for Picket Fence Studios, and you can find me across social media as Dreamcraft Create. I go live most Tuesdays here on the Picket Fence Studios YouTube channel at noon Central Time. And we do a fun project with that month's new release from Picket Fence Studios, and I share my tips and tricks along the way. I see we've got some people coming in here. Good morning, Rhonda. Thanks for joining. I see a few more coming in. I don't know why, but my Siri on my computer is acting up. There we go. Go away. We don't want to talk to her. We want to talk to all of you. So if you have any questions during the live, definitely leave a comment down in there. Good morning, Arlette. And just put question at the beginning of it, and I'm happy to try and answer your question as best as I can. I will give away the card that I make today, so be sure to leave your comments because I pull from the comments to see who I'm going to send that card to. Good morning, Tiffany. Yay, we've got lots of people coming in here. And let us all know where you're from. If this is your first time, let us know that as well at the live. We always like to welcome new people that are coming to hang out with us. So I'm going to switch you all over to my desk here so you can see the fun project we're going to be making. So this is the card we are going to make. How cute is this, right? Just calming, so sweet. The sea turtle is really sweet. And I'm going to be showing you how to heat emboss on glossy cardstock. So you can get a really fun look on glossy cardstock, whether it's patterned or not. And we're going to do that today. Hi, Paya from Sweden. Welcome. Hey, Kathy. Glad you're here. Thank you, Tiffany. So first I'm going to show you what we're going to be working with. So that way, if you want to try and craft along and make something similar, you can, raid your stash and see what you've got. First, this is the new Coral to Aqua to Turquoise Ombre Fabulous Foiling Toner A2 card fronts. Very long name for very pretty papers. Oh, thanks, Tiffany. My pink glitter nails. Yay. These are really fun because you can use these to foil on because they're printed with toner ink. And you can foil your leftover negative images. And I've got a couple videos about that on the Picket Fence channel if you're interested. But you also can use these as just cardstock for a background, and they're really fun to use. So this set, I never in a million years would have put this color combination together. But man, isn't it pretty? I mean, the greens and teals off into this like reddish purple and corally red colors. Like, gorgeous. And so there's 12 A2 card fronts, and there are 4 of each of the 3 different patterns. So we're going to use this one. This is the one that I used in the sample card. Yes, Christina, beautiful jewel tones. You're exactly right. Then we're going to use the Wreath Building Plenty of Fish in the Sea stamp set. This is great for wreath building, so you could do a fun seascape kind of wreath with this. And I originally thought I was going to do that, but then I got sidetracked, and you guys know what it's like. You change your mind a million times, right? So this is also really good for creating backgrounds for little sea creature scenes. So very useful, functional, does a lot of double duty. We've got the signature quotes, the sea, some really nice sentiments in here. I'm going to be using the one that says ocean is my favorite color. And there are coordinating dies for this sentiment set. And then the kind of the star of the show here, if I can, my fingers will work. come out? There we go. Is this set's called A Sea Turtle's Journey. So we have these sweet little turtles, this big one, a smaller, slightly smaller side profile, and then 2 little cute babies. So you could do a family of turtles that would look really cute, or you can do the bigger guys and have them take up a large portion of your card, which is nice. Some really pretty sentiments in this one as well. And then there are coordinating dies as well that we'll be using. And lastly, I'm going to use one of the rectangle dies from the A2 Rectangles for Card layering set. This is a fun set because you have those cool border rectangles you can use to create several different size borders for your cards, but then you also get these 2 bonus cover plates with it. Rhonda, yeah, the paper is yummy. I agree. And turtles are the sweetest, aren't they? And I don't know. This turtle's so sweet. I love it. Okay, let's dive in. We got a lot to do. So we're going to start out here, excuse me, with our pretty paper. And I already have my stamps from the wreath building set. I already have them set up on my stamp wheel. I had left those there before when I was making my little sample card. So we're going to put this right in the center here. And we're going to grab our anti-static powder tool. Now, because this is glossy, really what you're trying to get rid of is any static, less so than any kind of like finger oils or things like that. It's mostly static you're trying to get rid of, especially if you're going to work with white embossing powder, which tends to be very fine with the super fine detail powder. It tends to stick to areas that are staticky on any kind of glossy paper. So it is, even though it's slick and smooth, it's still a good idea to go ahead and put down your anti-static powder tool. Hi, Yvette. You have a turtle? I didn't know that. That's awesome. Got my embossing ink here. My son wanted to get a turtle, and I'm like, but they live a long time. We already have 2 dogs, and I don't know that I want to continue taking care of a turtle for you when you graduate and, move, go to college, things like that. We'll see. We'll see. All right, so I got a good amount down of that embossing ink. We're going to come in and stamp it. And because this is glossy, it's not going to absorb the ink like a standard paper would. So I think it tends to work better if you double stamp, so you can make sure that a lot of that ink is staying on the paper. So we'll get a nice little coating here. See, Yvette, that's what my fear is. Yvette said she ended up being the turtle caretaker. All right. There we go. I think that's pretty good. Now I can kind of see it in the reflection. It's not going to be easy. You're not going to easily be able to see it on camera, but I can see the sort of, yeah, it's not showing up on camera at all, but I can see where it's stamped. Okay. And you do want to be careful because it is a little hard to see that you're not sticking your finger in any of the areas where you put the embossing ink, or the embossing ink. You're going to want to tap it pretty good to try and get that excess embossing powder off. It's kind of like working with acetate. If you've ever done heat embossing with acetate, you do have to give it a pretty good flick to get those extra spots off. I think we're looking pretty good there. There's a couple of little spots I do want to clean up with my paintbrush. Always good to have a little dry flathead paintbrush hanging out that you can use for cleaning any embossing powder off of your paper that you don't want hanging out there. So you guys can probably kind of see there. A little hard to see the, what are those called? Jellyfish. My mind went blank for a second. But you can just run your paintbrush, and what this does is it just helps to knock those little particles of embossing powder from where they're stuck, so that way when you come in and blow lightly on the cardstock, they will come off. Now this does not have to be perfect, obviously, but if you can spend as much time as you want getting the extra little parts off. It's not going to show up much, that extra, any little tiny flecks in the finished image, because you are doing it on this colored paper. Plus, I'm doing it under the sea theme, especially. It's not as big of a deal. All right, you guys ready for an amazing new release item? Oh, this is the new Rainbow Desk Trivet. Super cute. I was like, yes, please. So you can use this for your drinks. You can use it to hold something down on your paper. It's pretty hefty, but you can also use it for heat embossing. And because it's silicone, it's got a little bit of grip to it, so your paper's not going to move around too much when you're heat embossing. You like the angled paintbrush, Yvette? I usually use a flathead. I feel like I can kind of use the corner of it or use the whole thing, but it's definitely, I think everybody kind of has their own preference on that. Okay, heat up your heat tool. There's a couple of things that are going to help you get a good result with heat embossing. One is anti-static powder tool. One is making sure you get enough of the embossing ink down onto your paper so that the embossing powder can stick. And the third is to make sure your heat gun is hot before you take it to the paper, because that's going to help to melt the embossing powder more quickly, so it reduces any warping of your paper. And that's my TED Talk on embossing powder. So when you are using any kind of silicone mat to hold your paper, which by the way is great to do if you are heat embossing like over the front of a Word die cut, you need to know that the heat is not going to go through your paper quite as well. So it does tend to take a little bit longer for that embossing powder to melt, but you're not doing anything wrong. So we've got that good and hot. I'm going to come in, melt our pretty little seascape here. I think the jellyfish is my favorite. I don't know. I love it. And then you can just make sure that everything melted. It looks pretty good. Yeah. There we go. And then this is, because this absorbs the heat so well, I mean, it's already cool to the touch. Okay, let's take a drink of water, guys. I don't know, my throat is kind of parched today. so excited. I finally got it set up so that my comments from the comments from Facebook and the comments from YouTube are showing up in my software comments, which is awesome because now I only have to look at one screen. So hooray to Jen Cray from Pick Event Studios for helping me get that set up. Appreciate her so much. Okay, we've got our piece here. We're going to set this aside because we're not going to do anything else on the background. And let's put it maybe somewhere we don't lose it. Because that's never happened to me before, right? I mean, you guys have never lost anything in your craft room. I'm sure that is just me. We're going to bring in our big sea turtle here. And where's my paper? Here it is. I'm using, I always forget to link this. If you guys are interested in anything that I used today and want to take a closer look at it, it's all linked in the description as well as in the link. There we go. In the link at the top of the comments. I will be sure to link the paper later. I always forget the paper. So I've got my big turtle from the set already ready to go on there. And I'm also going to bring in my sentiment here and stamp these at the same time. These are so pretty. You know, sometimes like, you know, I want to send a card, but it's not a birthday card. It's not a Christmas card. It's no real reason to send it other than I'm just like wanting to make a pretty card and send it to somebody. So these style of sentiments are fun because they just have nice things, you know, happiness comes in waves, dance to the rhythm of the sea. They're just really kind of nice. Make sure that's in a good spot. Yep. And then I'm going to use some black hybrid ink. Hey, Sean. I had just places. I'm not sure what you mean. Give me some more context. I'm sure I said something that would make sense, but you know, my brain doesn't retain things very well. It's there and then it's gone. So be sure just to get a good amount of ink on here. Now, these stamps do have a fair amount of line work, and you can see the turtle spots are all black. Now, the nice thing about that is that if you are not, you know, an expert colorist, or if maybe you really like coloring, but it's nice sometimes to do a colored image and not have to really kind of worry or work at the shading. And these images have enough there that you can color and shade, but it's a lot easier to do. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, that looks good. Put this out of the way. So this paper is Spectrum Noir. What is it called? Spectrum Noir Ultra Smooth Premium White Cardstock. This is what I like to use for coloring. Now normally I would give this ink a minute or so to dry because it is a hybrid ink, which is great because you can use it with alcohol markers, Gamsol with coloring pencils, watercolors, all the things, but it also means that it takes just a little bit longer to dry than a water-based dye ink. But I mean, normally I would just wait like a minute. but since we're live, I went ahead and made sure it was really dry. Oh, I see, Sean. You had just placed an order when the release came out and had to order again, and now you're going to be ordering the matte next. Yeah, these mattes, I'm pretty sure they're going to sell out. So if you are interested in the rainbow Trivet, definitely get your order in because there's been a lot of interest in them. And I don't say that very often because I think Picket Fence does a really, really good job of ensuring there's enough inventory for things. Things don't, they're very good at managing their inventory, but I think that we didn't anticipate that they were going to be as popular as they are. So don't wait. That's my insider tip for you. Okay, I've got my Olo markers. I did want to tell you guys quickly, I mentioned this over on my YouTube channel, I think, but Picket Fence is selling the 128 piece brush collection, double-sided, so it's 128 half markers, so 64 total when you put them together. And they come with the little connector rings. It's kind of hard to pop off there, but they have the kit for 25% off, which nobody does. I haven't ever actually seen these markers on sale anywhere. So if you have thought about getting a collection of Olos, it's only while the remaining full sets are around. Like this. So if that's something that's in, it is, you know, obviously it's expensive to invest in a set of Olo markers. But if it's something you've been wanting to do, that's the other thing that I would suggest doing now, because it's a huge cost savings at 25% off with the full set. I have a link for that too in the description. Man, my nose is kind of runny this morning. That's not good. Forgot to take my allergy pill. Okay, back to coloring. I'm so distracted. We are going to start with YG 2.3 and YG 2.5. Oh yeah, and you can pre-order the new colors. Olo is coming out with a set of 32 new colors, which I am super excited about because I love the Olos, and one of my very few cons I had about Olos was that they didn't have as many colors as Copics, and they are releasing 32 new colors, which are on pre-order. So I'm super excited to get those. I immediately ordered those. But I also have an addiction when it comes to colors. I love having the option for every color under the rainbow. Those of you that have seen my craft room, you know that I have tons of ink pads because I am addicted to ink pads and their colors. I want to always have just the right color. So I'm using the 2.3 here. I'm just coloring in all of the kind of skin areas of the turtle. So I've colored in his arms, his head, or her head, whichever you want it to be. Oh, that's the other thing. I saw a lot of people do really cute cards on the design team where they took the big turtle and the little baby, one of the baby turtles, and did either a Mother's Day or a Father's Day card. Super cute. All right, we have got that all colored in. Now we're going to come in with the YG 2.5 and do some shading. So I'm going to mostly color his little feet, especially the bottom part of this one sticking out and the top part of this one that's kind of tucked under his shell. And then for his little neck area, I'm going to come in under here, underneath where his jaw would be. See his jawline there? And I'll add a little bit of shading right here on the bottom of his little snout. I don't know if that's what they call them on turtles, but a little bit of shading on this side of his neck. For his top fin, I'm going to shade right in here where his flipper would kind of curve over. And then right in here where it would curve over and go down into the shell. For his bottom fin, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to shade where his little flipper would curl over. And then shade a little bit right there. Not very much. And that's all the shading I'm going to do on that. I am going to bring in, this is kind of fun with sea creatures. You can bring in lots of different blues and greens and do fun things. Oh, Sean, you got the seahorses. Ooh, the seahorse set is really cute too. You can bring in other blues, greens, teals, even purples. I feel like you can get away with sea creatures and add dots of those colors in order to just kind of bring the animal a little bit more life and make its skin kind of varied and interesting. So I'm just gonna dot with this 2.6 all over and add in this fun little small pop of blue. So it's not much, right? These are tiny little dots, but it just gives a little bit, hopefully you can see that on camera, it just gives it a little bit more interest, I feel like. And in person, the blue is far more bright, I feel like, than what is showing up on camera. Okay, for our shell, we're going to use some blue greens. And let me look at my sample. I can't remember. Yep. Okay. I started with BG 2.3. So I went with my lightest color first, and I colored everything in. Now the Olo markers do tend to be kind of juicy, so it's good because you can quickly color an image, but you do have to have a little bit of a light touch because you also don't want to overly saturate your image. If you ever do think like your image is getting overly saturated, just stop for a second, because that alcohol in the alcohol marker is going to, or that's on the paper, is going to evaporate really quickly. And then you can put more color down if you want to. So cute. I like coloring turtles because they have these very easy to shade, right? They just are, it already, you don't have to think about it very much because you know it's going to be shaded kind of down around each of its little, what are these called for the shell? Wouldn't be, no, what are they called? Like the tiles. That's not obviously the correct terminology, but each little piece of the shell, you know that you're going to have shading down and around that piece. So we're going to go next to, I'm going to use some 2.7 here, which is a lot darker. But what I'm going to use this for is for adding some interest here along his shell. I'm just going to mark these lines that are kind of already given to us as little kind of texture marks, or maybe on the turtle's busy life in the sea, he scuffed up his shell a little bit here and there. So I'm just going to run my brush right along those marks. Doesn't have to be all of them or perfect. This is just going to give our finished product some fun little bits of texture, variation. Okay, now we can come back in with 2.4. So we started with 2.2, or no, we started with 2.3, sorry. Now we're coming in with 2.4. And for the 2.4, I am going to shade by doing some stippling, which stippling is essentially, it's kind of a dot, but with a little bit of movement. Do you see that? So it gives you that shading, but you're not going to have a real harsh shading line when you stipple. So just dotting all the way around each of the sections of the turtle shell to give those areas in the center, make it obvious that they are raised. Now for the outer pieces of his shell, I'm not going to do that. I'm actually going to shade them a little bit differently. Hey, Ricky. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you, bud. All right, so we've got, yeah, the turtle's really cool. We've got our shading pretty much done for the center part. Now for our edge, what I'm going to do is a little different. Here we went kind of all the way around the pieces, but for these outer edges of his shell, I'm going to do more of a light-based shading, so where the light would be shining on there. And so I'm going to come in all the way along this bottom portion of his shell, doing an upward flicking motion. And then I'm going to stipple around the edge of the top portion. So you're going to have less shading along that top part, but I want it to be more pronounced along the bottom. And then I'm going to bring in my 2.7 again, this real dark color, and I'm going to stipple along the very bottom of the edge of that shell to really give it a dark shade line there, but I don't want it to be like a line. That's why that stippling helps a lot. There we go. And I'm trying to think if I want this to be any darker anywhere. I think it looks pretty good. I might bring in a little bit more of the 2.4 and just bring this along this bottom, this area that might be kind of dipped in, and then stipple it just along the top, because we're going to get a little bit less shadow on that top portion. There we go. Now I'm happy. Here's our sweet little turtle. Ooh, that light over there is a little bright. Isn't that sweet? Let's see. Sean asked, where in Louisiana is Picket Fence located and can customers visit? There is not a physical storefront. I think they're based out of Houma, Louisiana. I can't remember off the top of my head, but there's not a physical storefront that you can visit. Maybe someday, but we do everything online. Rhonda, yeah, when you use that yellow green and couple it with the blue green, the colors just like really pop. I agree. All right, we've got our sentiment. Let's pull out our coordinating die. Now, if you're ever wondering which die, they come on the sheet in the same order usually that the stamps are. So I know that 1, 2, 3 up is the sentiment that I used. So that's gonna be the matching die. Makes it a lot easier than trying to figure out which die you need. Thank you, Marcia. We're gonna use some highlighter tape here to tape down our die. So funny story, this morning, I take my son to the bus stop in the morning. So I had walked him to the bus stop and I came back and I fed my dogs because they always get breakfast after I get back, and I got my coffee, and then I was like, oh, I need to take a shower. Got in the shower, and I got out of the shower, and I was like starting to get ready, and I picked up my phone, and I saw a notification, a Facebook notification reminding me that I was going live today. And I don't know how, but I just zoned out and had totally forgot. And it was 9:25, and I was like, ah! So I rushed to finish getting ready and rushed up here, but I made it on time. So we were all good. You guys didn't have to wait around for me. I knew I was going live today. I have no idea what was in my brain this morning, but I guess the coffee hadn't kicked in yet. We've got the coordinating die here for our sweet turtle. And we will tape this down as well. I almost always tape my dies. For those of you that have been watching for a while, you know I got a new electronic die cutting machine, and I got a magnetic platform that goes with it. But I still just don't trust it. The magnetic platform is great for when I'm using, like, when I'm cutting out die cuts like that aren't outlines, right? That I don't have to worry about something being perfectly centered, but I just don't trust it to hold the pieces in place when I need it to be right around. So let's go ahead and die cut this. Be noisy for a second here. Let's see what. Marcia asked, what is the name of the tape you use to tape the die down? So this is, hold on a second. This is Crafter's Easy C tape, but it is the exact same thing as Lee highlighter tape. It's made by the same company as far as I can tell. The tape is exactly the same. So sometimes I always look for both and see which one is cheaper. And that's the one I get because they are the exact same tape. They're just marketed differently. So if you search for highlighter tape, it usually comes up, and it'll come up as either Crafter's Essentials Easy C, or it'll come up as Lee Products highlighter tape. I'll try to remember to link that. But this is honestly the only tape I use. Well, no, I shouldn't say that. I do use mint tape as well, and sometimes I use the Spellbinders tape. But this is the tape I use 95% of the time for everything. For holding die cuts in place, for holding my paper in place on my Better Press, for holding foiling in place. It just works, and it's never ever torn my paper. Whereas I have had some of the other tapes tear my paper here and there. I'll deal with this later. I need to trim down the piece because it's the edges of this so it'll fit in my storage bag better. I like to try and use the package, like just keep the packaging so that I used to like put my own piece of cardstock in there and the whole thing, and I just don't have the time to do that anymore. So I try to just keep things on the packaging that they came with. There we go. Yeah, Kathy, it's just, it works. And it just, occasionally it'll leave some residue on your cardstock, but it comes right off with an adhesive eraser or even with your finger. Like if there's any little sticky residue, it comes right off. So really good tape. All right, we've got our turtle, we've got our sentiment, we have our panel. I'm going to cut this down using which one did I use? I think I used the second one in on the right from the A2 Rectangles card layering set. Yeah, so this is going to cut to 4 5 1/4, which will give us an 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. And those of you that know me know I love having a border on my cards. So, and the tape's reusable too. There we go. So I'm going to tape this down. Move this out of the way. Got this. Oh, I moved my camera. Haha. Oops. So what's everybody up to in this lovely Tuesday? We had some rain this morning, but the sun decided to make another appearance, which is good. Hopefully it sticks around. Oh, sorry guys. I'm moving my die cutting machine closer. My desk is starting to be a mess. I'm gonna move some of this stuff out of the way. Okay. And this cuts so nicely. And there is our pretty background trim down. And let's see, let's toss this in the recycling. There we go. Move this out of the way. Okay, so now we need our card background panel. And of course, I don't think I have one that is cut. So let us cut one. I also don't think I have a card base, but that's okay. I'm gonna trim this because I don't, at least my experience, the Nina does not, that comes in the big ream, is not like exactly 8.5 by 11, which drives me bonkers. So I find that I do have to trim it just a hair in order to get it exactly where I want it. Card maker problems. We need some glue. I think I need to refill my glue. It feels really light. Oh yeah, it's getting down. And we will get our glue on here. Now, I will say this, when you are gluing glossy cardstock down, you do want to use a very liquidy glue because it does tend to show glue lines. So if that's something, if glue lines bother you like they bother me, you can use, make sure you use very liquidy glue, or you can use double-sided adhesive or a tape runner or something like that to make sure that the lines don't show up. Okay, and then, oh, I forgot in my, pretty sure in my other card I cut, where are we in time? We're fine. Okay, on my other card, to give it some dimension, I cut out a couple duplicates of the outline and I glued them on the back. So I'm just going to run this through here. Oh, where are you going, Rhonda? Pack me too, I want to go. Sean, you're doing chores. Oh, you're gonna craft with your new stamps. Nice. That is a good way to spend your day. Oh, Ricky, you're on your lunch break and you came over to say hi. Thank you. I appreciate you. For those of you who don't know Ricky, he is awesome. He is on the Picket Fence Studios creative team with me. And he also has his own YouTube channel and Instagram. And he makes awesome cards. So you should check him out. Arlette, you're working. You're actually working today. Well, I know you can't always stop everything you're doing to watch me, right? Although I don't know, you could talk to your boss and see if you can have an exception. Just send him my phone number. I'll tell him or her that you need this in your life to watch. All right, we've got 2 extra of those die cuts. And I'm going to layer these up. Doesn't really matter. You can go front to back, back to front. So what I do is I put glue on there, add one, put glue on the next one, and I try to move fairly quickly so the glue doesn't dry. But I like to use the reverse tweezers because one, it makes it easier to use the glue press, this guy, but also two, because it means I'm less likely to get glue on my fingers, and I do not like getting glue on my fingers if I can help it. So there, look, we've got some nice dimension on there. Oh, it's in Oregon, Illinois. Okay. Share ideas and sell things we no longer use. Oh, that's cool. Thank you, Ricky. Let me try something. So I have, I'm not sure. Nope. Oh, there it goes. Yay. I'm still getting used to how to add the comments to the screen. Okay, we've got our dimension there on that one. We're going to add some foam tape to the back of this one. And I save my scraps in a little nylon bag. When I want to use a thicker foam tape, I use the Picket Fence Studios. They have sheets and there's a jumbo roll, but I think the roll is out. I'm not 100% sure. I did link the sheets, but it's a thicker foam tape, so it's definitely got some heft to it. But I like to save my scraps, and that's so that I can just quickly if I know that I have a bunch of scraps built up, I can just grab my little bag and add pieces from my scrap bag to put all my stuff down. Now, if you do not have a pair of non-stick scissors in your life, you need one. I never would have believed it until I started crafting, but and I got a pair. In my book, they are a basic necessity. They make cutting foam tape so much easier. They just don't get messy. These are the ones I use most often probably, but look, like I've had these going on probably 2 years, and I've never cleaned them. You guys, never. And there's no sticky on them. Nothing. I don't know how, but it's magic. Magic, I tell you. I'll cut a little triangle off here for our little turtle's head. Come on. There we go. Work. Work. Okay, we're getting there, guys. We're getting there with our puzzle pieced foam tape. Now this does cut really well with dies as well. So, I mean, you don't have to use scraps. I just like to use up my scraps if I can. You could just die cut this whole turtle and stick it on the back, and it makes like crafting super easy. And I'm going to add a little piece here, I think on his little foot. And I'm hoping, because I'm mailing this, that it will hold up well. I want to make sure. If you missed the beginning of the live, it's a friendly reminder that I send out the completed card to somebody from the comments. So if you're interested in getting a card sent to you, definitely leave a comment so that you have a shot of having it mailed off to you. And who doesn't love happy mail? I love happy mail. Okay, there we go. There's our sweet little turtle. So I'm going to glue down my sentiment first, I think. Let me clean this up. See, then I can put all my little scraps back in that are still left over. Ooh, yes, Victoria. Oh, bye, Ricky. Have a good day. Victoria, he would look so good glazed as a fridge magnet. I agree, 100%. You could stamp him on acrylic and heat emboss, or not acrylic, acetate and heat emboss, and then do like a stained glass look behind it. How cool would that look? That would look awesome too. Lots of options with a sweet turtle. Let's get our trash out of here so you guys don't have to see it. There we go. And let's go back to this. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and use my magnets to hold my background piece in place. Excuse me. And then I'm using my grid lines, and this is what I'm going to use to help me line up my sentiment. Now, I will say when you are gluing things to a glossy cardstock, you really do need a large amount of glue. Like, so dotting is not going to work well when you are gluing to glossy cardstock. It will not hold very well. That is the only thing I would say that you should keep in mind. I'm going to stand up here, guys, so I can see a little better. And Try and get it evenly centered. It does wiggle around very well, but you want to get it kind of pressed down first before you do any wiggling. I think that looks pretty good right there. So we'll press down. And now we can bring in the turtle. Get all of our release tape off of here. Thank you. Aw, thanks, Karina. I love to send out cards. I wish that I was better at it. I try to send out cards, especially to like immediate family members or close friends. But I do like that I started sending my cards out at the end of these lives, and it makes my little heart happy knowing that somebody that appreciates cards is getting the card. And at Christmas I send out cards, but most of my cards I donate. They go to either, what is it called? Smiles for Seniors, I believe is the name of the organization. And then I also send them sometimes to Cards for Kindness through scrapbook.com. And in fact, I have a big box that I need to send. So when I was setting up these background stamps on my stamp wheel, when I was first trying to figure out where I was going to place everything, I went ahead and stuck the turtle stamp down as well so that I could fit in my little background kind of C items. So I know that I want to sort of nuzzle this little turtle in here so that this guy is right in his little neck cavity, and then so that I can still see the jellyfish over there in the coral color. Now, I kind of like the look of this right about here. I think that looks good. Oops. I'm looking at the screen as I'm doing this since I can't look directly overhead. See how his little tail is sort of nuzzling, or not tail, flipper is nuzzling down there by the letter. And this one is kind of dipped in there. So I'm trying to like balance everything as I'm finding a little home for him. There we go. And you'll notice here I did 2 stamped items here and 2 stamped items here. That tends to work well because then they kind of form a visual triangle with your main item. So I think that looks pretty good like that. Yeah. Okay, let's get our trash here. Now, where are we at on time? We might go just a minute or two over, guys, because I want to show you another trick with Glossy Accents that I find to be really super helpful. So you see on here, I added Glossy Accents to his shell, and it looks really, really, really nice. Now, I know some people don't like to use Glossy Accents because they say they're too much trouble, but I really feel like they can add like a really nice extra element to your card. So I'm gonna get my Glossy Accents, and what I do is I have the large bottle, which I recommend, the 2 fluid ounces, and then I transfer some to a little fine tip bottle. And the reason I do this is because most of the time I use the fine tip bottle if I'm just adding little accents. But if I am going to be, let me grab a piece of scrap paper. If I'm going to be filling in a very large area of a card, what I like to do is I will take my fine tip bottle and get it started. There we go. And I will use that. Oh, I've got some air bubbles here. Hold on. There we go. I will use that to go around the edge of whatever it is that I am going to be filling in, because it is much easier to get that edge line with the fine tip bottle. I'm just running this right along the cardstock, right along the edge of the turtle's shell. Not going over onto the black if I can avoid it. I'm trying to keep it just inside of the black line. And this is going to create a well that you can fill in. It's similar to if you've ever iced Christmas cookies with royal icing. This is how you do it. And it makes the whole process so much easier. So I just want to make sure that I've got a line all the way around. Now I will point out that when you do it this way, when you're done, you do want to have like a little needle or something to open up back your metal piece, so that way you don't have glossy accents drying inside there. So after the live, I will do that. I'll poke it with a little needle so that way it dries okay. Now I can bring in the large bottle, which is going to, the glossy accents is going to come out much faster and thicker, but I know I have that edge line, so I don't have to be really careful. I can just kind of go all the way around and flood this with glossy accents. And I know it's not going to go past that line that I created. And as it dries, it'll level out as well. So now I can just go back and forth all the way across, flooding the inside part of the shell. And that's all there is to it. Now, be very patient with glossy accents. If you don't have experience with them, it takes them a long time to dry. That is probably really the only negative to using them, is that they do take a long time to dry. So I will always wait until it is my last kind of thing I need to be doing. Then I will add my glossy accents and I will let it sit overnight to dry. And that is part of why I went ahead and did a sample card yesterday, was because I wanted to make sure that it had time to dry overnight so that you guys could see what the glossy accents look like when they are dry. Yay, I'm glad. That's good. I love it when people learn tips from me. It's all learning, right? I'm constantly watching other people myself, you guys, because I love to learn tips and tricks from lots of other people. This is just something I picked up from doing decorating cookies for a long time. I always make them at Christmas time, and I was like, oh, well, I'll just do that with my glossy accents, and it works great. Same thing with this bottle. When you are done with it, I recommend taking your fine tip pin, just a needle, and clearing out that so it doesn't dry inside of the nozzle piece. Ask me how I know. I've never forgotten to do that and had a clog that was really bad. No, not at all. Okay, I'm going to do the last step probably off camera because you guys can already see it here, but I took a couple of sequins from this really pretty new mix. It's called Tropical Breeze. I'm going to open this up and move this out of the way so that I don't drop sequins in it. But it has teals, corals, some gold and brown, some peachy colors in there. Lots of like a brown, I think I said brown already, but lots of different colors. So this would look really pretty for a shaker as well. But what I did is I took some of the colors that I thought matched the background really well. So this one's like a holographic, almost kind of teal. Got an aqua, and then kind of a peachy coral color, a yellow, that same peach, and that same aqua. Little sequin there. All right. Yeah, totally the perfect color combo, Victoria. They go perfectly. Oh, thank you, Jessica. Yes, please watch from the beginning. So I would love to have you watch. Okay, I'm going to switch you guys over here back to my face. Hello. And we are going to pick a card winner. Okay, I'm going to scroll and close my eyes. You guys ready? I'll give you like 5 seconds to add a comment if you want to be considered for me to send you this card. And this is open internationally too. I have international stamps. I have no idea how long it would take to get to you, or if it'll arrive in one piece. But this is open to anyone. So if you are the winner, I'll put up my email on the screen so you can email me with your address information. Okay, here we go. Closing my eyes. I really wish I could use a random comment picker for this, but I haven't found one that works with my software. I wish the software would include one. That'd be awesome. Okay, here we go. Where are we? Jessica Spicer, you are the winner. Looks like you're watching on Facebook. So email me at, where is it? This way? I don't know. I don't know where it's at, if it's weird. But email me at contact@dreamcraftcreate.com with your address, and I will get this off in the mail to you. It'll probably be a day because I want to make sure it gets dry, or maybe I'll send you the one that I made in advance. So send me that email. I'm so excited. Congratulations. I hope you all enjoyed today's live. Be sure to give it that thumbs up if you did. I appreciate it. Again, I go live most Tuesdays here on the Picket Fence Studios YouTube channel and on their Facebook page. And we make a card every week, and I share my knowledge, mistakes, all of that fun stuff with you. Okay? Thanks, Kathy. Thanks, Jessica. Appreciate everybody coming. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday.